Thanks, listeners, for joining us for today's Wellness Wednesday as we're catching up with Shelby Riley. She's a licensed social worker for the Division of Child and Family Services for Nevada. Shelby, it's great to have you back and talk more about this important mission.
And thank you so much for having me, Lori, to talk about the need for foster homes in rural Nevada today.
So, we were hoping you could tell us a little more about yourself and your dedication to this position and the importance of Dcfs and fostering in Nevada.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a licensed social worker in the state of Nevada. My entire career has been in the child welfare field. I started as an intern with the Division of Child and Family Services, and then I moved on to be a caseworker for 3 years with the division, where I worked with families to help reunify and bring them together and help mitigate those barriers to safety that stand in that way of that happening. And 3 years ago, I stepped into my new role as the foster care recruiter, where I get to take all of the experience I've had and really promote and spread that need to the community to let them know all of the amazing things that are happening within our agency for our families.
And Shelby, we know from previous visits with you that you have personal experience with this and that your heart is really in this important mission.
Yeah, that's right. I was in foster care briefly. I was removed from my home when I was 17, so I was pretty old. But regardless of your age, it's always traumatic to be taken from your home. When I was eventually returned, I really took from that experience that foster care is not just about taking you away from your bad parents or the bad guy. It's about coming together and helping a whole family system rebuild. And so whatever we can do to help that is really my mission to help improve the system in those ways.
Well, Shelby, thank you. We know that having caring fostering situations can really help that whole family heal. And that's why the DCFS has such an important role in our state in reuniting families.
Absolutely. You know, most of our children are going to have a plan to reunify with their families when it's safe to do so. That's what's always in our best interest for our children. Research shows that if children can be raised by their biological family, that's what's going to be best for them. So we as the agency are here to help the entire family system and make sure that's possible so that families can integrate back into each of our communities in positive ways.
Shelby Riley is our guest today with Nevada Division of Child and Family Services. She's a licensed social worker and specializing in recruiting foster parents and foster caregivers in rural Nevada. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the reasons that some of our children need to go into care and the need for foster caregivers locally. Thank you for listening to Wellness Wednesday today with our guest, Shelby Riley. She's a licensed social worker with Nevada Division of Child and Family Services. And Shelby, we're talking about the reasons that our kids go into care and what areas are in need in foster care, in particular in rural Nevada.
Well, we're in a dire need for foster homes all across rural Nevada. We have roughly about 60 foster homes in any given part of the state. Some counties have as much as 13 or 14 foster homes. Some have as little as 3 or 4. Or we even have counties in Nevada where we don't have any foster homes. And what's so important to remember about Nevada is that we're a very spread apart state. So if there is not enough fostering communities, say in Elko County, that child is at risk of being displaced to a completely different county. So we're talking about moving them possibly hundreds of miles away from where they're from, which is what we want to avoid. We want to keep kids in their communities, in their schools, near their trusted partners, and keeping all services centrally located to give these families the best chance at being successful at reunification.
Well, and Shelby, we know there are varied reasons for children to go into foster caregiving situations, right?
Children enter foster care when there is abuse or neglect occurring in a home, and there's no adult that's able to actively stop or mitigate that safety concern. In rural Nevada, the majority of our children coming into care are coming in because of effects due to neglect. And neglect is a very umbrella term that a lot of different things can fit under it. But it necessarily means that something is standing in the way for a parent being able to properly care for their child or keep them from danger. So sometimes that could look like families struggling with domestic violence, They can be struggling with substance abuse. They can be struggling with a lack of resources that they're not able to get due to other under-resourced systems in our community. So there's a lot of reasons as to what neglect can look like, but what it really just boils down to is that our families are in what's probably the most struggling point in their life, and they need help, and they don't have anyone in their world that's able to help them. And that's why they land in our system, and so that we can help hopefully build that support system for them over time.
Well, Shelby, when we come back in our next break, we're going to talk about more of the specifics about how to become a foster caregiver. Some people may be surprised that, they fit right into these categories. We're going to continue our discussion here on Wellness Wednesday with Shelby Riley, a licensed social worker with Dcfs. You're listening to Wellness Wednesday, brought to you by Vitality Unlimited Program Services, the VIPs. They are integrating caregiving in our community. Talking with Shelby Riley, a licensed social worker from Dcfs. Now, Shelby, we heard in the last break how important it is to keep children, to keep young adults, young teenagers in their community with their same school, their friends, their teachers and coaches, even keeping sibling groups together. People might be surprised that you don't have to be married, for example, or have a traditional family home to become a very caring foster caregiver, correct?
Right. There are a lot of different makeups of what a great foster home looks like. You can be single, you can be married, you can be in a domestic partnership, you can be a part of a multi-generational home or have other adults living in your home. You can be renting, or you can own your own home. You have preference in the gender and age ranges that make up the best match for your home. And overall, there are just many different ways that we can work with you on making sure that fostering can be most compatible with your household.
And Shelby, it's important for people to remember that fostering is meant to be temporary, right? It's a healing, helping place, a stopover for these families. Right.
Foster homes are a temporary, soft place to land when these families are in crisis. So a lot of the times I think it's overlooked that you're not only helping a child when you're a foster family, but you're helping an entire family system. You might be that first example of what a healthy family looks like to some of our families. You might be the reason they start to gain trust in the agency. And you might be the reason why families really start to self-reflect on themselves and really start to see what the work needs to be done for their children to come back home.
And it seems like a great reward when you know that you've been able to help people in your own community, your neighbors, and sometimes you can form these friendly relationships that continue into the future, right, Shelby?
Right. And in a perfect world, that's what we hope, is that relationship doesn't sever when they leave your home. That you can still be a part of their life, whether that's being a part of their graduations or their sports tournaments, whether that's being a babysitter, continuing to be that family friend and support to a family that you now have a very deep relationship with.
So it sounds like fostering can really help bring communities together.
Absolutely. And, that's what it takes. It takes an entire village to raise a child. In a perfect world, everyone has those people that they can go to help raise their family. And in the future, or some perfect world, when that is possible for everyone, the child welfare system won't exist and we won't need foster homes. But until then, we need those families to step up and be those people for the ones that don't have their people or their village.
Thank you, Shelby. Well, when we come back, we'll finish up today's Wellness Wednesday episodes and describe the training that's coming up and these live online classes where listeners can explore the opportunities, the benefits of being foster caregivers. Thank you for joining us for Wellness Wednesday today. Shelby Riley is a licensed social worker with Division of Child and Family Services. She's on a mission to recruit especially rural foster caregivers. And Shelby, I know we started off the program talking about the need for foster families, but we really want to hone in on that. We are seriously in need of people willing to open their homes. Is that right?
Absolutely. We need foster homes across rural Nevada. Most of our homes are full, and so we just need more.
And there is an opportunity for anyone listening to explore without making a commitment yet, right? But to get details about the program?
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited to announce that we are now offering our trainings once per month. They are still live online with a live trainer via Microsoft Teams. We're going to be starting our next training on March 19th. That's a Tuesday, and we're going to be meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays for 2 weeks at 5:30 p.m. And it is a great time to just get an introduction into what being a foster parent will be like. Like you said, Lori, there's absolutely no commitment through our training. If you decide that it's not the right time for you or not the right fit for you, there's no obligation at that point. But if you're ever interested in learning more about what being a foster family is like, and if it's the right path for you, our training is an excellent way to be a part of that.
And Shelby, what topics will be covered during this pre-service training?
We're going to give you an introductory idea into what being a foster parent is like. We're going to cover what the life of a foster case looks like. We're going to talk about what it takes to engage with agency stakeholders like attorneys, social workers, and court-appointed special advocates. You're going to hear from a panel of people with lived experience in the foster care system, other foster parents, and other court specialists to answer any of your questions you might have about foster care and foster parenting, and really just give you an overview of trauma-informed parenting and really an idea on how to start integrating that into your home. But I also want to mention that, we're never expecting you to come being a trauma expert or a trauma-informed expert before or after this training. We really want to acknowledge that it is a lifetime journey learning through foster care. You're going to learn from the beginning at your first placement to maybe 20 years down the road when you're still fostering with us. You're going to keep learning new lessons, and we're going to always be there to help and support you through that journey too.
Well, Shelby, thank you as always. We really appreciate your reassuring voice, your friendliness and availability, because I think it really helps to recruit foster families and have these important conversations in our community. So the last question is, where do we sign up?
So you can go to our website at www.ruralnvfostercare.com. You go to the bottom of the page and click our blue Get Started button to create your account. Once you create your account, I'm going to get in contact with you to get to know you and your family a bit and get you signed up for our next upcoming training. If you had any questions or wanted something answered before you created your account online, you can also call us toll-free at 888-423-2569.
Shelby, thank you so much. We really appreciate the time, and we hope that a lot of families will step up and help you again in this important effort in healing and supporting our community and our children especially.
And thank you so much, Lori, for helping me get the message out.